Hello, everyone. Bill Snape, Center for Biological Diversity. I'm also a professor at American University Law School, and that does make me Professor Snape, and I think you ought to listen to what I have to say. I, too, have three things I want to say. The first is great stats earlier that the senators told us about with very high percentage of cases that Judge Kavanaugh decides go against the public interest, go against the environment, go against the little guy. But I think it's actually equally instructive to look at his actual written decisions, the decisions that he actually writes, because on the Court of Appeals, there's three judges, and sometimes he's just voting and sometimes he's leading. And let me be very clear about my synopsis of his written decisions at the D.C. Circuit as it relates to environmental protection. His decisions have caused human death, illness, injury, as well as the destruction of natural systems that we all depend upon. That was the Homer Supreme Court case that David just talked about. Second, he's got a very peculiar and one-sided view of cost-benefit analyses. He's constantly inserting cost-benefit analyses into cases and situations where Congress doesn't want him to do that. He is relentless. That's a very common theme of his decisions. But a further theme, when you look at his cost-benefit analysis, he doesn't seem to understand the benefit of wetlands, oceans, rivers, streams, lakes, fish and wildlife, endangered species, ecosystems. He literally does not seem to get it, and he values them very, very lowly. And it shows because he sides with the corporate polluters and the corporate developers pretty much all the time. Third, and perhaps the one that gets under my skin the most when I hear him speak, he says over and over again that he's a strict constructionist, that he's just interpreting the law, not making the law. Well, I think he's fibbing, and I'm being polite. He constantly cherry picks laws and facts and provisions of statutes that suit him, and he ignores those provisions that he simply disagrees with. And in fact, in the Homer case that David and I both talked about, the Supreme Court rebuked him on that very attempt of his to add law into what EPA was doing. And it was that case that EPA said, with the delay in implementation of that rule, was going to cause human death and illness. That, in my view, is on Judge Kavanaugh's hands. And let us remember in conclusion, Judge Kavanaugh already has a lifetime job. It's on the D.C. Circuit. Let's keep him there. He does not belong on the Supreme Court. It's what this sign says. Stop Kavanaugh. Thank you.